I'm just going to talk today, so this is my only slide. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for your introduction, Karen. Ultrahaptics is almost 5 years old now. We were formed November 2013, so almost 5 years old. We started in the engine shed with one desk in Bristol. And we've doubled every year since then, and we're 100 people as of yesterday. We have a new CFO as of yesterday, and yes, we will double again next year. We expect to be 200 by the end of 2019. So growing, so very much a scale up, very much growing very, very quickly. We're in a constant state of flux and change and so on. So I thought I'd focus my talk this morning on how we've made scale up easier for ourselves, and really it's all about planning, because scale up is hard. It's startup is about vision. A mature business is all about maintaining EBITDA, but actually growing a scale up business and actually recruiting being one of the biggest headaches you have is makes it very, very difficult, especially when you're trying to run a business at the same time. So I'm going to cover a couple of topics today. One is people and culture, and for us this is the best and easiest way to create a scale-up business. I'll talk about business processes, alignment of founders, board, shareholders together, and in my last slide is, or last piece of paper is investors for the journey, not just for Series A. So I'll come on to that in a little bit. To go from one person in one room to 200 people, you've got to recruit the right people, and you've got to make sure that the people you get, you keep, because recruiting people is hard, losing them is dead easy. And so you've got to make sure you create a culture that makes people want to stay. And yes, you can decide your culture. We actually did it when there was 3 of us in McDonald's in Bristol about 4 years ago. And we wanted to create a team environment. We wanted to create an environment where there was no blame. So people will make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And it's about not getting really mad with somebody. It's about, okay, that's happened. How do we fix it? How do we move forwards? And where do we want to get to? And actually doing it that way. I have things do go wrong, and I have had that conversation with a few people. Walked into my office and hit my head on the wall and gone, "You idiot!" But it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So you have to, from the top, make that leadership, and actually don't get angry with anybody at any time, and make sure you keep on top of it. And so, on top of that, I will, stack the dishwasher. I will pick the rubbish up off the floor, and and people see me do that, and everybody follows. It's amazing how everybody follows what you do. And so it is about making sure that you build a team. We also have a rule: nobody can eat at their desk at all. We built the office around the kitchen, and so everybody has to go to the kitchen, which was a tradition that started in the engine shed in Bristol, where everybody at lunchtime went downstairs and ate together, and we've kept that going, and now we have a kitchen that can seat 80 people, and fundamentally everybody comes at lunchtime, and it's a real noisy, fun atmosphere to be with it. Also, when I said walk the walk and not just talk the talk, there's a very book called Walking the Talk by Carolyn Taylor, and I would recommend anybody reads it, about building culture within a business. Also important was we got an HR manager, a part-time HR manager as employee number 5, and a full-time one as employee number 12. And that was to make sure that we got the right people, and it wasn't just me doing all the recruiting and or whatever, but making sure that we did that, and the processes were in place going forwards. And of course, you do lose people. We've lost 5, and 2 for the same reason. And you love this. The most common reason for leaving Ultrahaptics is I'm moving to Canada to live with my girlfriend. We had 2 of those. And I'm told by HR that can't be one of my interview questions. Do you have a Canadian girlfriend? So anyway, but that's it is annoying, but it happens, and you have to let those things go. Also, some of the people you have will not come on the journey, the whole journey with you. You know, we have, going from 2 people to 200 people. Some people are comfortable with a 20-person company. Some people are comfortable with 50. Some people can't handle a huge amount of people to deal with, and large companies. And so we will, you have to take those tough decisions, have those difficult conversations, and say, look, this business is not right for you, and actually exit them. But we do it in a proper way, in the right way. Take time over it, make sure they settle somewhere else, and then and exit it properly. We're not about just firing people and shoving them out the door, but we make sure that we've got the right team, because at the end of the day, we want the business to be a success, and you can't have people who are not right for your business. Biggest compliment that was ever paid to me, really, and I like this one, was somebody came up to me and said, I've been here 2 years and I've never heard anybody shout at anybody. And so the cultural thing works, and it keeps us as a single team. Business processes and growth. Always plan ahead. And that's what we plan. We plan 2 years out, 4 years out, 6 years out. We have succession plans for everything. If we knock one person out, we know what's going to happen if that person disappears. And so we make sure that everything is in place to make sure that that happens and there isn't any business interruption, because if you can't have it going wrong. It has to work. And certainly today's decisions can affect your company's outcome at the end. There are no do-overs here. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. You can't. So let me unspend that money and try that again. You can't do that, and so forth. You've got to keep that going. And for example, one of the things that we did was, most of our employees are millennials. They're all sort of 20s, 30s sort of ages, we have quite a large engineering team of 60 people. They are highly intelligent, highly motivated, very skillful at what they do. But when they joined, they hadn't a clue how to write software to go in a car. And so what I did right at the very beginning was I dragged my old boss, a guy called Barry Dennington, out of retirement. He used to run a team of 600 engineers at Philips. And turned a a really exciting bunch of young people into a crack engineering squad that could pass an ISO 9000 audit in 18 months. So we passed an ISO 9000 audit when we were 18 months old as a business. And that's because you're setting the path in place to where do you want to get to. We want to sell software and technology to automotive companies going forwards. We've got to have processes in place. And we have to do that. And we're planning to IPO this business, and so we put everything in place. So we have a fully up-to-date risk register, which is reviewed and updated quarterly. We have a permanently up-to-date data room. So when it comes to raising money, it's drag and drop. So the processes say every time you sign an agreement, hard copy goes there, soft copy goes in that folder. And then when it comes to data rooms, it's literally lift it up and drop it into the Merrill data site, and it takes us 20 minutes, and we're done. And so it's managing those things, because you've got these things to come, and spending a week on getting your data room in order is just stupid if you can do it early on and make sure we move that forwards. KPMG audit our accounts. We need 3 years of audited accounts. We're on our way, and so that's on the way already. We have a REMCOM, we have an audit committee, and fortunately 40% of our directors have been CEOs of FTSE 250 companies, which kind of helps as well, because they've all been through it and done it, and do make my life somewhat easier. Alignment of board, founders, shareholders, and management. Everybody's got to be pulling in the same direction. Everybody's got to be going in the same place. In terms of the exit, is it an IPO? Is it a trade sale? Is it a trade sale when the founders have got 5 million quid each? Is it a trade sale when the investors have got 10 times their money? Is it an IPO where nobody sells and everybody wants capital growth? Everybody has to be on the right and same page, because you can't have somebody say, right, we're selling up now, and everybody goes, no, we're not, because then you sort of create a tension that doesn't work. Get everybody on the same page at the beginning, and so you've got to have those difficult conversations up front and say, what do you really want out of this? How do you want to get there? Because if you're not aligned, it will go badly wrong at some point. All the senior management team have to pull together as well. There can only be one agenda for the business, that has to be in the company's best interests. We can't have little side projects going on. We can't have people going off in different directions. It all has to be in the best interests of the business. And that even if it means exiting founders, you have to do it to make sure it goes in the right direction. Fortunately, we have some great founders at Ultrahaptics, and we don't have to do that. But if it needs doing, it needs doing. And investor, and my final page really is investors for the journey, not just for Series A. Think long term about your business's cash needs. If you have a Series A at £1 million, and you know you're going to need a Series D at 100 million, you've really got to think about your investors, who they are. Will they come on the entire journey with you? You also need to plan your evaluation route. You can't get too aggressive on how much value you want in your Series B and C. If you get to Series D where you need a load of money and you can't get any investors because they won't get their returns, you've got to plan that out as well. Make sure that anybody who comes in at any series has enough return to make sure that it's worth investing in you, because you'd hate to get to Series C, have a great business, and nobody invests because they won't get the return they need. So you've got to watch that as well. You also got to make sure your articles and investment agreements allow your business to thrive and allow you to do all these various rounds, and make sure there aren't any constraints that stop you doing it. And also, don't be afraid to swap out shareholders. We've done it already. We'll probably do it again. Some of the early shareholders, some of the early investors may not be able to support Series C, Series D, E, whatever you get to, and so make sure that and certainly when you get to Series C, a lot of the early investors may have already made all the money they want to make and actually get out and cash out and move out. But you want shareholders in there, if you've got further rounds coming, that can invest further going on. So anyway, that was my sort of 4 pointers really in my 10 minutes that I had. So if you have any questions, come and talk to me afterwards. But thank you very much.